What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we take a look back at the early works of seasoned comedians before they were seasoned with this week's guest, Brian T. Shirley. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist at large, but I'm losing weight. Thank you for joining us as we continue our interview with comedian, actor, writer, the original BTS, Brian T. Shirley. Enjoy.
But yeah, it's real exciting to do these things because you meet people, you do a job for them. You know, if they like you and like what you bring to the table, they'll use you again, and that's the secret.
I was about to say, so that's the secret because I've never been asked to do a second one.
But you just got to keep trying, GD. You just
to be honest, my wife says to me, you know, you'd be a good actor. I've watched you on stage, and you're a really good performer. And it's like, yeah, I'm good at performing my words. I'm not sure I'm good at performing other people's words.
That's the leap you got to make, and which I had to learn. I had to learn that leap, and it's not impossible to do. If you can do yours, you can do somebody else's, but you just have to get the empathy for what's
and have to let go of the ego, because a lot of times I'll look at words and I'll go, you know what really make this funny?
Right.
No, you know this is a drama.
And that's the crazy. Yeah. Well, no, what the crazy thing is, and the easy thing for me is that most of what I do is not comedy when it comes to acting, you know, and that makes it a little bit easier because it takes away that natural. No, wait a minute. This if I said fadugal instead of I'm thinking of silly thoughts and stuff. But with drama, you know, it's like doesn't even bother me because I'm not trying to. Although every once in a while, you know, I will go, you know, it would flow a little bit better with this. And if you're working with the right director, they'll go, all right, we'll try it. Try it both ways. And I'll go, okay, we'll try it both ways. And if you watch Oak on the Outside, I improv'd a little bit. When I walk away from one of the people I'm questioning at the end of the scene, I go, thanks. And that one, I mean, I know it sounds simple, but that was not in it. Me looking at her and saying thanks was not in the script. It just flowed out of me for some reason. And when I did it, and the way I did it, I watched the film and talked to the director. We were just bullshitting. And he goes, did you notice that I kept that little thing you did at the end when you looked at her and said, thanks? I said, yeah. He goes, that wasn't in the script. I went, oh, that's right. It wasn't. He goes, no, I just like the way you did it. And I was like, oh. So, I mean, that's another thing you learn. Maybe you don't agree with all this stuff, but if you get into it enough, the character comes out all of a sudden and you're so into it that the director sometimes will just go, oh, no, I like the way he did that. Let's keep that, you know. So that's what stops you from fighting that battle of here's this material that I don't know, that I didn't write, you know. So that's what you got to do, GD. If you learn to accept it more, then it's easier to get into it and become that character for somebody else. It's tough, though. It is when you've been doing it for yourself.
Now, it's funny when you mentioned that thing about the thanks, that little thing that you added at the end. There's this one movie, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. There's a scene when to survive, they have to jump into the river together.
Right. Oh yeah.
And they're arguing back and forth. And then he goes, I can't swim, okay?
Yeah.
And then he does this thing with his head. He goes, okay. And I'm like, and that thing is just that little gesture at the end of it. It was like a punctuation mark.
Right.
It was like, and to me, with everything in that movie, that's the scene I remember when he goes, because I can't swim, okay? And that little, just a little head thing.
And that's the little bit of magic that you have to add to each character that you do. You know, even the little things. And I've learned to do that with my auditions too. And you know, the big thing I've learned, and this is for anybody doing anything artistic, is before he says action, I'm in. And after he says cut, I'm still in. I'm in character before and after, because you never know what the camera is going to catch, for one thing. And number two, if you're always in, then it won't catch you. What some people make a mistake of doing is once they've said their line, they're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done. Well, you're not in the freaking scene anymore.
Right.
If you do that mentally, you know, you've got to be there more than the whole time. If you ask me, you got to be in there. And that's the same for being a comedian, being on stage. I mean, we all break the fourth wall when we're on stage. We all know that. But we go back.
And the fifth wind. No.
Right. but don't we go back in, though? Yeah. Don't we pull back in? We don't stay out there unless it's three people now. Or, you know what I mean? But I mean, if it's a full house and we're rocking, we go back to ourselves and start delivering again if we're pros, you know. So and I've seen comedians do it too. Like, I'm talking to them like a minute before they're on stage, and then all of a sudden I see it in their eyes and I'm like, all right, dude, have a good show. Because I know they just went into their character or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It's like they know they got to hit this. I don't talk to comics right before they on stage if I can feel that. I'm like, leave them alone. And then I'm at the back room pacing, even to this day. And people will always come up, hey, man, it's okay. You'll be fine. You know, and I'm thinking, what am I going to say? I've been doing it 25 years. I just want to tell them, dude, it's hard to explain to people. This is just how I get into my thing. Yes. You know, I look nervous or I look worried or whatever, but I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm getting into I'm getting into the space I need to get into to go up and kick some ass, you know? So that's the same with acting.
Now it's funny because one of the questions I ask people who've been doing it for a while is like, did you have like when you started off, did you have like a ritual that had to evolve into what it is you do now? In other words, and did it evolve out of necessity, or did it evolve because you grew? Like, for example, I'll just give an example. Okay. When I started, I used to drink a Red Bull before I went up, and and then I became diabetic. It's like drinking a Red Bull before you go on stage isn't a very smart thing. As a matter of fact, I learned before I became a diabetic that drinking 2 Red Bulls before I went on stage was a very bad thing. Because what happens, the longest I'd been headlining. I'd only been doing comedy for like 2 years, so I still had a lot to learn. But I was headlining. But when I was headlining and doing 30-minute sets. And people don't realize this, but it takes a different amount it takes stamina to do especially when you're acting out and moving around. If you're just standing there doing jokes, it may not take as much stamina, maybe emotional stamina. But when you're doing like a 30-minute set, and then they said, we want you to come back and headline again next week. Can you do 40 minutes? And I knew how drained I was after 30. And so I got the bright idea that I was going to drink a second Red Bull. I think I went into sugar shock. That was like the worst idea I ever had. And I pulled off the 40 minutes, but I was like shaking at the sugar shakes and I was starting, getting lightheaded, but it was like, but the mechanics took over. So I was just wondering, so I used to drink Red Bull. Now I'm diabetic, so I drink water before I go on stage.
Right.
But it wasn't because I grew as a person. It was because my blood sugar grew. Well, my blood sugar was outgrowing me.
Right. But I think, maybe you were drinking it for energy or whatever. But, think about it seriously, GD. You may have just been drinking it just to have something to do before you went on stage. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just like, I got to have a custom or something, this guy, he always goes and runs around the building 3 times. And this comic, he, slaps his head for 5 minutes. What do I going to do? I guess I'll drink a Red Bull. So I think mine has always just been to trying to get into the right headspace, whatever that takes. So I never developed anything, that, if I did try a few things, I don't remember what they were because I was probably drinking or smoking too much, which was not good to do. And that was probably part of what I did before I went on stage. But now that you do it sober, because when it's 2 p.m. and you're at a 55 plus community, you're not going to drink. Getting into the right headspace is really what I do. And it used to be I wouldn't talk to anybody before I went on stage because I just didn't want them to. Now it's kind of the opposite. I mean, I don't really search out talking to people, but I learned, especially when I'm doing these corporate gigs and stuff, sometimes I gotta know the people a little bit, because then when I get on stage, it gives me some material for the show. And but still, the most important thing for me would be getting my head right before I got up there somehow, whether it's writing out a set list, which when I did a church recently, I didn't write out the whole set list, but I came up with some bits while I was about to go on stage, because, I'm going, all right, I need to kind of break the ice here. And they had these rooms, and each room was like either a name of a city or, like they put me in the Bethlehem room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I noticed there was an Eden room. So when I went up, I went, y'all got some beautiful things here. It's a great place. And they put me in the Bethlehem room. That was the green room for me, which was cool. I'm glad they didn't put me in the Eden room because I was hungry. So they just sat there. I just said, all right, so that was the first joke. And if y'all didn't get that one, it's going to be a long show, But it doesn't matter if it worked or not. It was getting me into the headspace. So the exercise of writing and kind of just getting into that, churchy type thing helped, So that too, because every show is different, as you know.
Yeah, it's funny. You just mentioned there was a show I was doing. I can't remember what it was. Before the show, I was talking to the sound guy though, just chit chat. Before the sound check, was chit chatting and everything, and then we did our sound check. Then the show starts, and I introduced the sound guy because it's just me. So I introduced the sound guy, and I let the people I let the audience know. I said the most important person in this room for me right now is the sound guy. I said because he's the one that's gonna make me sound good. I said, I deliberately had a very funny joke and a very bad joke ready to go. And I told a very funny joke, and everybody's laughing. I said, see, and this is why the sound guy is important, because if he's not on, and I told the very bad joke and no one laughed, I said, see, that's the sound guy.
Right. Yeah.
That is why the sound guy is so important. Because if he doesn't do his job right, you're not going to get these jokes, and they're going to sound like that. So I put it, and he didn't know I was going to do that. So, and then the rest of the night, it was like good joke. But people was like,
right.
It was just something I'd only done it one time, just because I made friends with the sound guy.
Yeah,
and it was the only time I'd ever done it. I've never done it again. But people, and I talked to the audience afterwards, and they loved that little thing. They're like. And the thing he did with the sound guy, that was hilarious. Did he really mess up your joke? I was like, wait a minute, are you worrying the audience? You're not that stupid to think.
Well, but that goes back to what I was saying. So that was your way of getting into your headspace, it was playing with the sound guy, and coming up with that, so you got into your creative space. And that's what I think helps us all,
Yeah.
And comics do that, even if it's no matter what, like what you said, drinking 2 Red Bulls or whatever. All we're trying to do is get to that space that when we get on stage, we're that more comfortable. and we're that more confident. Because that's the two big things you need on stage: confidence and comfortability. Because you can't really deliver as well as you should if you don't have those.
Right. I was when I talk to young comedians, one of the things I tell them, because sometimes you watch them and they'll have a good premise, but they can't deliver it, and because it's like a personal story, and I'll explain it to them. I'll say, look, if you're not comfortable telling the story, then don't tell it to the audience, because they're going to pick up on it. I said, only talk about what you're comfortable with. I said, don't use the stage time as your therapy. If you haven't worked it out, don't talk about it. If you can't make it funny, you can't make it funny to the audience, no matter what it is. You could be talking about child molestation, but if you can't make it so that they can see something out of it other than the horror of it, then don't do it. Because
right.
So, no, but did I cover that? Okay. So I want to get to the next segment, but I don't have a transition for it. It's about relationships, the next segment.
Right.
Unless, did you something else you want to add before we go to the next thing? The next
No, oh shoot. No, I'm gonna have to go soon though.
Okay. Well, let's watch this. And about how much time do you have to spare? So I can.
What do you think? 10 or 15 minutes? Is that good?
Okay, that's cool. All right, we'll watch this and we'll discuss it, and then we'll find a close.
Yeah, I got to get through this script tonight if I can.
Oh, okay. Well, if you want, we could all work together on the script. You could bring. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's not mine. I can't.
That's it. Wait, how did my script get out there? No, I'm just
right.
All right.
It's now the fourth. It was the third party. Now it's the fourth party. He would get upset.
All right, so here we go with the second part of your bit at the Savannah. I forgot what
Comedy
it's called.
Review.
Savannah Comedy Review in Georgia.
Example. Here's where you have to adapt to a woman. Like getting ready to come out to this show tonight. I don't think the man should ever be ready before the woman when you're getting ready to go out somewhere. I think you're a dumbass if you are ready before the woman. Here's why. If you are ready before the woman, you are now idle. You have accomplished your task. When she sees you idle, she will assign you another task. What do you think that task will be? Usually, you have to tell her what she looks like with the stuff she's trying on. And straight men have no business answering those questions. You don't know. They come up and go, what do you think about the shirt? What about the shoes? What about the earrings? Hers? What do you think? We look at them and go, that looks fine. No, that doesn't work. You know what I do? I fake an orgasm. I'm serious. She comes and goes, what do you think about this dress? I look at her and go, yeah, I like the, Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Oh, shit, I like that dress. Whatever. That dress. Do you think she'll ever ask you about that dress again? It's the little things. Simple stuff. There's young couples out there right now, especially the guys, looking at me like I'm an idiot. There's married people going, that guy's a genius, because they've been through it. Going to the grocery store. Sounds kind of simple, doesn't it? But if you don't know how to do it correctly, you can screw up the whole trip. For one thing, you don't go to the grocery store stupidly with a woman. You don't go there and go, let's see, 12-pack of beer, macaroni and cheese. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I think the most important room that you have to adapt to a woman, guys, is the bathroom. in your house. It's very important. Once again, young guys look at me like I'm an idiot when I bring that up. They don't understand. Men and women go to the bathroom differently. Yeah. I'm not talking sitting standing, I'm talking up here. It's a different game. You guys, 2 years, how many bathrooms do you have in your house? How many? 2? That ain't bad. Anybody got 4? See, there's a happy couple right there. You know why? By the time he's finished, he still hasn't found his ass. Smart guy. Like the haircut. Put our heads together, make an ass of ourselves. Now, but I'm going to turn it back over to Thomas Paris. You guys have a good night. Thanks.
Now, I have to ask you this because when you do the fake orgasm look, okay, aside from the fact that it works really well with the suit, with the jacket, how did you practice that at home with mirrors, or how long did it take you to get? How long did you know what I'm saying? How long did it take it for you to say that this is the look I'm going to do?
This kind of goes back to acting, and that was actually before I was really into it, because they really tell you as an actor when you're, going over stuff like that, your look, how you're going to deliver lines.
Yes.
Don't do them in the mirror. Don't, because, and that's just, I never did that in the mirror because, and I was acting before I even knew it. Because really what happens is it comes from the inside out. So if you do it reverse, if you have the look and then the emotion, I think that's where it's going to look fake. But when you bring it from the inside out, that's when you get the reality. That's when you get the honesty, So that one I just imagined. And I didn't even worry about how it would look. I just kind of imagined it. And then when I did it certain ways on stage, and I don't think I varied it that much, I was getting just, holy crap. I mean, just killer laughs. And I said, no need to mess with that too much, So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just came natural. So I just kept it. And it's funny now that I watch that, everything's reversed. The grocery store, it comes before that. I think I do the bathroom last, in the getting ready to go out somewhere. The fake orgasm somewhere in the middle. But I've added so much to that too. I mean, the grocery store bit's a lot longer. If COVID, I added something from COVID because of that.
Oh yeah.
So that's in there. The getting ready to go out somewhere, there's several more things to that than so it's chunks. So right. The whole thing is relationships, that's whole one, whatever you want to call it. But then there's those little chunks, the grocery store, getting ready to go out, the bathroom, a couple's relationship with the bathroom to each other. And that's how you grow. See, this is for young comics. That's how you grow your chunks. That's how you grow your act. You got those, they all relate to each other, so it's easy to remember. Because that's the big thing when I was starting out. Oh, God, I got to do 30 minutes? What? How am I going to remember all that? So then I started writing in chunks, and I could remember the chunk, and all I had to do is bridge it to another chunk. So relationships, military, and then just, okay, I think I'll do the military before the relationship, and then figure out how to get into them. But so the way you grow those chunks is you just keep adding little jokes and punchlines and tags to the bathroom bit or the fake orgasm bit. And all of a sudden, like what we just watched now, I mean, that's almost 20 minutes or so. And
it's golden. I mean, people don't have the benefit of seeing what I've seen. But it's a golden bit. I mean, you're good. You're good at what you do.
I appreciate that. And I've added from what you saw.
Yeah.
Up there. So I've added some more, but that's how you create an act. Or that's how I did. I mean, everybody's different, but because I think sometimes you write a bit or a chunk of material and you do it and it works and it's great and you're like, good, that's done. No, keep adding to it. You know, I mean, if something, a new idea or whatever comes up, insert it. So that's what I've been doing all these years. I've been inserting things and just all of a sudden it stretches out. Oh my goodness, you know. So now that's what I'm working on now with my, I call it my acting bit or movie bit or whatever. So now I've got a bit about being in films because I've had funny experiences or observations of what happens on movie sets, you know, and stuff. And because I think people are interested in that too. Because if once I'm talking about Outer Banks, being on Outer Banks, or Halloween Ends, because I was there with Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, and I came up with a bit about that. So that's the thing with comedy. If you can, it's got to be funny, but man, if you can make it interesting and they're going, what? And then you make it funny, that's a bonus. So that's what I've been trying to work on with the acting is, you know what? I'm going to not only use it to promote myself, but I'm going to bring that into the show and write some material around those things. So that's my latest additions to the show that you haven't seen is talking about acting and what's gone on in the set and even some of the stuff I've done as a director or producer or whatever the hell you want to call it. But that's, and what I would tell the guys that are coming up is your life experience is the most important part of your act. So always doing new things is going to add to your show, you know.
Now, this is side note. I know Brian from, like I said, for people who don't know, Brian and I we've never had like a sleepover. We're not like that, those kind of friends. We're not like close. No, but we've worked together and we've worked side by side separately. Like we both contributed to Media Matters, to What's the Story magazine.
What's the story? Yeah.
Yeah, What's the Story magazine? We both contributed to that.
Yes.
Yes. And you still do, because you got really busy for a while because you used to do on a radio show.
Yeah.
You would bring
I did a segment called BTS Entertainment Corner, which was entertainment.
Yes. And you'd gotten really busy, and so you had stopped for a while. Are you back to doing that again?
Well, no. Yeah. Well, part of it was busy, but another part of it was their format changed. But yeah, it was a combination of both because I forgot they changed days or something.
Right.
I just did get too busy because to me, when you're going to do something, do it right, do it good. You want a strong whatever you're doing. And I was like, man, I can't put in the time, but I got to tell you, man, with what you're doing right now is going to pay off, you know, somehow. And I learned that through doing BTS Entertainment Corner or the BTS radio show, because here's a great story for you folks out there that want to get into entertainment. Years ago, when I had BTS radio show, I interviewed a guy named Will Roberts, and we kind of became friends through there. He was doing his thing called Will Roberts Weekly Telegram, and he asked me to write for it. And then I became a weekly guest on one of his shows, and he would put me and another guy who I was on the right politically, the other guy was on the left, and Will was the moderator. And we went at it. Oh my God. And but we did that for about a year. I can't remember how long. And all this time, me and Will has stayed in touch. And Will's an actor too. I mean, he's amazing. He does. You want to talk about a Renaissance man? This guy's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest lasso around people. You know, he's a Wild West performer. All this stuff. So, you know, earlier this year or late last year, he put out a thing. And he goes, "I'm in this thing called Oppenheimer or whatever," and we were all going, "Congratulations, Will!" And so I'm watching. I don't know what, or no. Will had made a post. He goes, "Well, I know I'm in the movie," and he put out the trailer. And this thing's coming out either this month or next month. And I watched the trailer for it, and Will is in the trailer. And it's huge because he's in the trailer, and let's see, who's Iron Man? Robert Downey Jr. is
Right.
in this movie. I just can't name all the people. And there's Will in the middle. The trailer, folks. When you make the trailer, because it's only 2 minutes of a 3-hour movie, that says something. So he's playing George Marshall. You know, the Marshall Plan? He's playing General Marshall.
Okay.
And his line was something to, because Oppenheimer is about the guy that built the atomic bomb that was dropped, you know, obviously on Hiroshima. And his line in the trailer is something to the effect of, this is going to save a lot of our boys' lives.
World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
Talking about dropping the bomb will stop the war, World War II. And I called Will to congratulate him. I said, man, congratulations on this. I know this is going to be huge for your career. And it's not out yet, obviously. But called him about 2 weeks ago. And I said, I knew when you did that line, I said, they got to keep him in the movie. They got to, because that line is important. And he said, you're right. And that's the big thing, is doing something that moves the story, or for you comedians, moves the joke. Every line, every word, every expression you say on stage, especially if you're doing a short time, should be directly involved in moving the story along, or the joke along. So if you can edit it down to just pure, and it's hard, if you edit it down to its purest form, where every word is either set up or punch or involved, and there aren't any words that are just bullshit that don't mean anything, get those out of there, cut the fat. That's when you get good jokes, good films, good songs. When all that BS is removed and it's in its purest form and it's right to the story and it cuts to the chase. And it doesn't mean it's short. It just means it's damn good.
Which works in sex as well. It doesn't mean it's short. It just means it's damn good.
Well, yeah. Cut the fat, right? Okay. Or eat the fat, whatever you got to
do. Hi, I'm GD Fenderson, certified forensic humorist at large, but I'm losing weight. Please join us as we continue our interview with comedian, actor, writer, the original BTS, Brian T. Shirley. And when you come back, bring a friend. And please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.